Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to begin with our second video in our Learn to Play Chess series here. Last time we looked at the pawns and how they move. If you need a refresher on that, be sure to go back, check out that video. Today we're going to start looking with our second piece here, and that is going to be our knights. Now, each side's going to begin the game with two knights, and these are the starting squares for them if you take a look at them. The white knights are going to be down here on B1 and G1, and the black knights on G8 and B8. Knights are special pieces. They have a unique characteristic about them that is different from any of our other pieces on the board. What that is that the knights, unlike any other piece, are allowed to move through or over other pieces. So, for example, this knight over here on G1, we're going to look at all the squares he can move to in a moment, but these three pawns do not actually stop him from playing G1 to F3. He can hop right over just like that. It's a very unique thing and fun thing about the knights. The pawns, we already know how they move, and they're not allowed to move through a piece ahead of them. So this pawn on F2, he wants to maybe play F2 to F4, but he can't do that. The knight blocks him. The knight, however, he can hop right over. He can go wherever he so wants. So, how do those knights move? What are all of the squares that they can go to? Well, we just saw that first move from our knight on G1. Let's look at the different squares that this black knight on B8 can go to. Knights move in L shapes. So they're going to go two out and then one over to the side. So if you look here, he went two down and then one to the left or right. He can come to either A6 or C6, or he can go two to the right and then one down and come to D7. So for example, we can move this knight and take him from B8 over to A6. Now, let's look at the white knight again. This white knight's already come closer to the center on F3. So this means he has more squares that he can go to. An important thing to remember with our pieces, especially with our knights, is that they're stronger in the center of the board, and from the center they're able to go to more squares. So let's look at all those L shapes that he can go to. He can make an L shape over here. He can come to E5, or over here to G5. Likewise, he can come over to H4, or back down to H2. Of course, he can't do that move right now because we're not allowed to capture our own pawn. He can go back to the square he started on with G1, or we can come over here to E1, and he can go down to D2 or up to D4. As the knight moves closer to the center of the board, one of the things you see here is that there are so many more squares he can go to. This knight over here, when we counted from the beginning, he only had three that he could move to, where this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares. Let's look at this black knight over here on the corner. Once again, he can move out to this square or this square, can move out to this square or this square, only 1, 2, 3, 4. This brings us to a common saying that we hear, which is that a knight on the rim is dim. So we don't want to put our knights out on the edge where they're not able to do very much, because a knight on the rim is dim. He only has a few squares that he can go to. In fact, if we move that knight all the way back to the corner, to A8 over here, now look how few squares he can go to. Only the one here and the one over here. He's only got two squares that knight can go to. So don't put your knights in the corner or on the rim. That would just be dim. Now, how do knights capture? Well, let's say we've got our knight. We'll make one more move here so we can move that black knight. Let's say we play the move knight F6. We learned that pawns capture diagonally. Well, pawns are the only pieces that capture different from the way they move. So the knight, we learned it moves in that L. If we want to capture, we're just going to move an L again and take the piece that is right in front of us over there. So how did that happen again? We've got our L move, like we said. That knight is in the way. If it's white's turn, he can move right here, and then knight takes F6. Quick review here. If we were black, how could we recapture this knight? Remember, those pawns capture diagonally, so we could play G takes F6. Those are our knights. That's how they move, how they capture. We can hop over the board all around to different squares. Keep them off the edge. The knight on the rim is dim. Keep them in the center, and show just what a force they are to be reckoned with. Best of luck to you. Hope you enjoyed.